There are no rules but one. Drink Jägermeister at minus 18 degrees Celsius.
Tell me this, writers, artists, and actors are a special part of every fandom, especially in comics and comic book movies. And many fans look up to them, yourself included. You yourself have frequently been to conventions, so maybe have it maybe happened that you had an experience to experience something opposite, that you shared a memorable encounter with a fan of your work that left a lasting impression on you? Have it maybe happened on some panel or something?
Yeah, many times. To be honest, Paradiso, very early on, I met a gentleman who had traveled all the way from France to come to one of the British conventions to meet me specifically, because he had done his PhD thesis on fictional cities as living characters based off of Paradiso, which was like a really scientific sort of delving between archaeology and architecture and literary fiction kind of thesis. And he presented me with the whole thesis, and it was almost as thick as the book itself. So I was like, that is amazing that someone's taken my work and made it their work in a completely different context, you know? So I always remember that. I always take a lot of joy in that. And then when I did Graffiti's Wall, a fan, but also a friend, someone I knew in comics, reached out to me with a private message saying, and this is a person who was 50 plus years old, and reached out to me and said, I haven't ever cried ever when I read a comic, and then this is the first comic that has made me cry. And it reminded me of moving to Glasgow as a teenager and what that felt like. And I cannot put into words the appreciation I have for your work. And again, you know, that's something that I always remember. And then I have a very funny experience with San Diego, in that the first time I went to San Diego was pre-COVID, and no one knew me because I was a relatively new creator. And then the second time I went to San Diego was last year, which is post-COVID. And in that time, I had written Swamp Thing, Blue and Green, Laila, Starr, and I was just announced as starting on Detective. So all of a sudden, you know, I was going back, just walking down the road. Just walking into American Immigration, and someone in the immigration line, 2 lines over, yells out, "Ron V, I love your Detective." So I'm like, what? And people are yelling at me while I'm standing in immigration trying to get my passport clearance. And then I was walking down the road at San Diego, and a bunch of very obviously Indian origin students or people in San Diego just stopped me in the middle of the road and went like, "Are you Ron V? Can we take a picture with you?" And so that kind of stuff is always weird for me, because 90% of the year I've just sat in this room at my computer working on things, and then the other 10% it's like, whoa, that's Ron V. I'm like, no, you must be talking about someone else.
Imagine how De Niro feels in public. Yeah.
We stay genuine, uncensored and unscripted, and we always will, as we have to order our usual. Share us and subscribe us, and stay tuned until the next Wednesday. Ikuzo!